Now in this lesson we're going to talk about something very controversial, solar radiation modification, also known as climate geoengineering. What is this? Well, we know that the world is warming up because more and more CO2, carbon dioxide, is being pumped into the atmosphere. We could fix this by decarbonising, but that's going to be very expensive and very slow. Release of carbon dioxide is so integrated into all parts of the global economy, from transport to power to industrial processes, that we basically have to remake the entire world economy to fix it this way, which is going to take at least decades, maybe centuries, and cost trillions upon trillions of dollars. But what if there was a much cheaper, much faster way to stop the world from heating up too much? And it turns out there may be, which is this climate geoengineering. Now, what are we trying to achieve? This graph shows the warming influences of the climate forcing. This is the imbalance between heat coming in and heat going out. And we can see that the imbalance is about 3 watts per square metre. So all the carbon dioxide and methane, all the greenhouse gases that we've put into the atmosphere have shifted the balance of ingoing and outgoing radiation by about 3 watts per square metre. So there's 3 watts per square metre less going out, or 3 watts per square metre more coming in. So that's what we'd need to cancel out if we want to get rid of the warming. How big is 3 watts per square metre? Well, this diagram shows the total energy flows in the atmosphere, and the total average energy coming in is about 340 watts per square metre over the entire Earth, day and night, poles and equator, and so on. And some of that gets reflected of clouds, some is absorbed by the atmosphere, some absorbed by the surface, some is reflected by the surface, and there are all these other complicated infrared radiation flows. But that's the rough overall average amount of radiation coming in and going out. So 3 watts per square metre is about a 1% change. So if we can block 1% of the radiation coming in, or somehow allow another 1% to get out that's currently being blocked, that could cancel out all the effects of global warming. So how could you do it? Well, there are lots and lots of possible ideas. You can have lots of space-based mirrors that reflect sunlight away. You could paint parts of the Earth's surface white, or spray white things on it so that it reflects more sunlight. Those turn out to be not particularly feasible, but there are two processes which we know are feasible because they already happen naturally. One is increasing the reflectivity of marine clouds, taking low altitude clouds over the ocean and making them reflect more sunlight, so-called marine cloud brightening. And the second is injecting aerosols into the stratosphere, stratospheric aerosol injection. And both of these we know work, and both of them could reduce the amount of incoming radiation by that 1% quite straightforwardly, and therefore cancel out some or all of the global warming. I'm going to talk about both of these in more detail as we go on, but I want to mention first why this is so controversial. Basically, we're not fixing the root cause of the problem. The root cause of heating is more CO2, so the real fix is to reduce CO2. We're not doing that. We're letting the CO2 get bigger and cancelling out something else. Why is that dangerous? Well, it may just be that if we've got some cheap way to cancel it out, politicians will just stop worrying about decarbonising. We'll just keep on pumping out more and more CO2. So you could imagine that we're pumping out more and more carbon dioxide and doing more and more climate engineering to cancel it out, and this could just go on forever. And the risk is that the heating effect of the carbon dioxide and the cooling effect of our climate engineering may not precisely cancel out. They might cancel out on average, but it might have more effect on some parts of the world than the other. It might change weather patterns, cause floods or droughts in different regions of the world, have other unintended side effects like turning the entire sky silver so we no longer have blue skies ever. And also, there'll be a disaster if it stops. Let's imagine we have this climate engineering and therefore we keep the climate under control, people keep on belching out CO2, and then let's say for some reason this climate engineering is interrupted. There's a war or an economic crash and people stop doing it. The CO2 is still there, whereas the climate engineering, if you switch it off, it stops having an effect very quickly. So we could suddenly get 15 degrees of warming overnight, which would be an absolute catastrophe. Once you start doing this, you have to do it all the time, forever, for hundreds of years. But on the other hand, it looks like these processes could work, and they could be much, 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 much cheaper than decarbonising the entire world economy. So maybe they have a role, maybe as a stopgap, but it may well be we can't decarbonise the world fast enough, and so some of these techniques might help avoid the worst of the problems for a few decades until we can get the carbon dioxide under control again.